North America. Eliza Gonzalez, Manglik-Mott in Washington, D.C.
The 2021 special enrollment period for marketplace coverage starts on healthcare.gov today, February 15.
Arlene Ocampo in Fort Washington, Maryland.
State health insurance extends enrollment, and Governor Hogan recognizes a Maryland native.
Mayanne Manzano-Garzon in Sicklerville, New Jersey.
New Jersey reports over 1,000 new COVID cases, 15 deaths.
Jane Kathleen Gregorio in San Antonio, Texas, reports on that record-breaking Arctic weather that has left millions of people in the state without power. And Nanita Manaus in Frisco, Texas, will tell us the governor urged Texans not to travel on this President's Day holiday. Plus, tonight's roundtable, a couple of topics. We'll be talking about the importance of in-person learning experiences versus what you get virtually. And, of course, as we mentioned, today, President's Day, and politics aside, we'll be asking our team which president they admire the most. Our coverage begins now. This news will be welcomed by some of the poorest countries in the world. The World Health Organization has given emergency use approval to AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccines. Dr. Mariangela Simao says this means that countries which up until now couldn't get vaccines will be able to get inoculants from COVAX. COVAX, the organization set up to guarantee fair access to vaccines.
We have the facility up and running to start distributing vaccines this month, February and March and June and July. And we have already secured 2 billion doses through the facility. And the good thing about the COVAX facility is that actually countries don't need to go bilaterally. When we say bilateral, countries don't need to go one by one to the different companies trying to get the best price.
Meanwhile, the head of the WHO, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, likes the direction the latest numbers are going.
Last week saw the lowest number of reported weekly cases since October. So far this year, the number of weekly reported cases has fallen by almost half, from more than 5 million cases in the week of January 4 to 2.6 million cases in the week starting February 8, just 5 weeks. This shows that simple public health measures work, even in the presence of variants.
Let's look at the COVID-19 numbers now, provided by the Coronavirus Institute of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine. As of 6 p.m. Eastern Time today, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide now more than 109,076,000. Top 3 on the list of countries with recorded cases: United States, 27.6 million; India, 10.9 million; Brazil, 9.8 million. And sadly, more than 2,405,000 lives worldwide have been lost to this virus. The top 3 countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths: the United States, more than 486,000; Brazil, more than 239,000; and Mexico, more than 174,000 people have succumbed to the virus. A quick update from Myanmar. Now, you recall a military coup replaced the elected government of civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi 2 weeks ago, the military claiming election fraud. Protests continue with hundreds of people taking to the streets in Yangon yesterday. The protesters faced off with soldiers and armored vehicles as the crackdown on anti-coup protests intensifies. Suu Kyi will appear in court this week. She'll appear via video conferences on charges that were laid by the new military government. Well, if you're afraid of heights, don't bother applying for this type of work. You know, with regular snowfalls in recent weeks, rooftop birds in the Swedish capital of Stockholm, well, they've been replaced by an army of sweepers. Yeah, sweepers. These workers, they clear snow from the roofs in the names of safety. Secured with ropes, carabiners, and a safety harness, they ply their trade on steep rooftops. Snow is cleared from the city's roofs for both safety and to maintain the buildings. You've got to realize many of these buildings are hundreds of years old. Now, under Swedish law, property owners must to make sure that snow is cleared, both the snow and ice off their buildings, because if it falls off the side, it could hit and injure someone. This roofer, his name is Andre Pleon, he says he's come to like the work.
In the beginning, it was like scary, all the work and not just the snow. And working on the roof was scary, but after a while you get used to it. It's like usual work. Don't think so much about that, just work. You just, every time you have to think about safety. It's #1 rule, and you don't have room for a mistake here. If you make one mistake, it can be your last mistake.
And there's always someone on the ground warning people walking down the street about the falling snow. Well, let's go to England now. I want to do a little more of a frivolous story tonight. It's a holiday. Let's stay in a good mood. I want to tell you about a public servant who's a really cool cat. In fact, he is a cat. His name is Larry. Now, Larry's title is Chief Mouser to the Cabinet Office. He lives at the official residence of the Prime Minister. His address, number 10 Downing Street in London. And Larry is marking 10 years on the job this week. A little bit about Larry. He's a 13-year-old brown and white tabby. Came to the job as a rescue cat, and he's developed quite a loyal following. He became famous after photographer Justin Eng posted pictures of Larry on social media.
My stuff is shared on Twitter, so that's how people discover my photographs. I think the Larry Twitter account started sharing some of my photographs early on, a couple of years ago, which sort of started to help the popularity of these photographs coming around. And then people started following me for daily updates on Larry to see how he is, because especially in these corona times, people want to have something happy and uplifting, and to have some kind of reassurance that Larry's around, and I think that gives them a good bit.
You know, Larry loves the attention. Eng says, this feline is not camera shy at all.
I think the appeal about Larry is that he's this sort of cat who he's very photogenic, and also he has a way of, he's very media savvy. So if you take a photograph, he'll actually, if he's got his back turned to you, he will actually turn around, do an over the shoulder, much like a film star might do.
Oh, and get this, Larry even managed to upstage former U.S. President Donald Trump. The cat hid under Trump's presidential car. That state car in England is nicknamed the Beast, and he hid under this during Trump's visit to Britain.
He has this great ability for timing and knowing when to come out at certain times. For example, when Donald Trump came to visit, and he actually hid under the Beast and actually stopped the car from being able to move out of Downing Street for momentarily. So that kind of got worldwide news. I think even Good Morning America picked it up. So I think that sort of gives you an idea of, I guess his character, his personality, that he's just someone who doesn't care about, even if there's like a global leader in town, he'll just, upstage him in any way he feels like.
As a side note, a bit of history here. Since the 1500s, the English government has had a resident cat employed as a mouser and pet. Eng, incidentally, has developed Larry the Cat merchandise, which he sells through his social media. No word on what cut the cat gets. So that's Larry, Chief Mouser to the Cabinet Office. He's served 3 prime ministers in his career so far. Still to come, we have reports from Washington, D.C., Fort Washington, Maryland, and Sicklerville, New Jersey. Eagle News America continues.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. in these interesting times. We continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. Well, this will be welcome news for people seeking affordable health care insurance in the United States. EBC's Eliza Gonzalez-Manglicnot joins us now to tell us about the plan to offer coverage to Americans, low-cost coverage. Good evening, Eliza. You know, this literally could be a lifesaver for people.
Thank you, Thomas. Good Monday evening to you and a good Tuesday evening to our friends on the other side of the globe. That is correct, Thomas. Now let's give you a backgrounder. Former President Donald Trump wanted to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, known by many as Obamacare. President Joe Biden wants to strengthen it. Now, today, the Biden administration took concrete steps to move in that direction. In line with the executive order signed by President Biden earlier this year, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services opened the special enrollment period for the health insurance marketplace. People in the 36 states that use the healthcare.gov platform have the opportunity to take advantage of the special enrollment period. The period starts today, February 15, and runs through Saturday, May 15. The special enrollment period gives people the chance to enroll in healthcare coverage. The uninsured can see if they qualify for financial assistance to help pay for health insurance. According to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Service, 9 out of 10 people enrolled in coverage through healthcare.gov receive financial help. The center also said 75% of consumers can purchase a health plan for $50 or less per month after financial assistance. The plans offered through healthcare.gov cover essential health benefits like primary care visits and cover many preventive care services with no out-of-pocket cost to the consumer. This is good news to individuals who have lost their jobs and with that, their employer-sponsored insurance. In a release, President Biden emphasized the importance of health care by saying health care is a right, not a privilege. He said that he would do everything in his power to ensure that all Americans have access to quality, affordable health care, especially during this pandemic. He also encouraged everyone to use the special enrollment period to help beat the pandemic by strengthening and building on the Affordable Care Act. And that's one area that the present administration is trying to improve, informing everyone about what the Affordable Care Act is and how to use healthcare.gov to get health insurance. That's why, aside from extending the period of special enrollment, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, along with community partners, began today an education campaign. The aim is to inform people, especially the uninsured, how to get affordable health insurance and how to take advantage of this special enrollment period. Now, for more information on how to enroll in healthcare coverage, people can visit healthcare.gov or ciudadodesalud.gov, and there they can view the 2021 plans and prices and enroll in a plan that best meets their needs. For those who prefer using the telephone, call the Marketplace Call Center at 1-800-318-2596. Excuse me. Now for some weather update, it's now 36 degrees Fahrenheit or 2 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital. In Washington, Eliza Gonzalez-Manglicnot, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
Virtual heat wave there compared to what we got here. It's still a little bit chilly here. What was it, minus 23? Minus 23, and I think the wind chill is around minus 29. But let's get back to affordable insurance. Very, very important issue. Some people have heard about the Affordable Health Care Act and how it aims to provide insurance for those who might not have a lot of income, but some, I guess, might be just too intimidated to even log on to the website. Is it really that complicated, Eliza?
Well, Tom, it can be intimidating, but the first thing to do is to visit healthcare.gov, excuse me, and just start browsing. That's the first thing we should do. See what the site has to offer, and you could even see what marketplace plans cover and get an estimate on the prices. After that, the site actually lays out 4 steps in getting health insurance in the marketplace, which is the virtual market offered by the website, that it gives you various insurance plans that you could enroll in. Now, step 1, create a marketplace account. You will be asked basic information if your state runs its own marketplace, because remember, in our report, there are 36 states that run the marketplace through healthcare.gov. Now, the site will take you to your state site. And here in Washington, D.C., the platform used is dchealthlink.com. Step 2, get ready to apply. There's a checklist on the site that gives you what you should prepare. It also helps you to determine your estimated income. Step 3, submit your application and then see if you qualify. The results may show a marketplace health insurance plan with things like tax credits to help pay monthly premiums, free or low-cost coverage through Medicaid and other government programs. And it will also show you if you will save money through this program. Step 4, the last of 4 steps, compare healthcare plans and prices. And if you decide on one, enroll in that plan. For your coverage to start, you will have to pay your premium to your insurance company. Now, there's even a short video to help people decide on what health insurance plan to enroll in. Just go to the website. Thomas?
Eliza, can you also update us on how vaccination is going in the District of Columbia?
Now, as we are encouraged to find the best insurance that fits our needs, we are also encouraged to, if eligible, get that COVID-19 jab as soon as possible. As of February 13, the doses delivered here in the district is at 105,575. Doses administered are at 87,289. That's 82.6% of the doses allotted for the district. Additional doses expected for the week is at 14,275. 1 in 3 DC seniors are reported to have already received at least 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. And currently, Thomas, the demand for the vaccine, like in any other state, is much higher than the supply received from the federal government. So like governors of other states, Mayor Bowser and DC Health continue to advocate for the federal government to send more vaccines to meet the high demand for it. Thomas?
Have you managed to move up very far on the waiting list, or is it still going to be a bit of time before you're able to get that shot in the arm?
That's true. That's true.
Thanks for joining us, Eliza, and stay safe. We go to Maryland now, where the deadline has been extended for enrollment in state health insurance. And the governor, I should say, is also paying tribute to that young man. You might remember he appeared on Celebrating America during President Biden's inauguration. We're joined now by EBC's Arlene Ocampo. She has the details on these stories. Good evening, Arlene.
Good evening, Thomas. Thank you. So in line with the federal special enrollment period that President Joe Biden declared for states who use the federally run health insurance marketplace, healthcare.gov, the special enrollment period has been extended to May 15, 2021. Healthcare.gov provides free or low-cost coverage depending on the Marylander's eligibility, and Maryland Health Connection acknowledges the need to extend the special enrollment period. After enrolling, coverage can start as early as 2 weeks. Here's the breakdown. Coverage starts February 1st for those who enroll by February 15th, March 1st for those who enroll between February 16th through March 15th, April 1st for those who enroll between March 16th through April 15th, and May 1st for those who enroll between April 16th through May 15th. Please visit www.marylandhealthconnection.gov for more details about coverage options. Maryland Governor Hogan strongly encourages those who are eligible to take advantage of this so that we can look forward to a healthier and safer 2021. Meanwhile, do you all remember that young man who appeared on Celebrating America during Biden's inauguration? He is an 8-year-old from Gaithersburg, Maryland. When he was 5 years old, he was bullied. In 2019, he became an activist against bullying and founded a nonprofit called Cool and Dope, which stands for Considering Others' Obstacles in Life and Dish Out Positive Energy. His mission is to end bullying by the year 2030. Governor Hogan held a video conference with him to reward him for his achievements. Kavanaugh Bell was presented with an official governor's citation to honor him for all he has done. Let's take a look.
From the beginning of this pandemic, I've been talking about what it's like to be Maryland strong. I can't think of anybody that's a better example. Everything you've done to combat bullying, the spreading the positivity, and what you've done to work to provide food and essentials to communities in need, it's really very, very special.
Thank you.
I got a little surprise for you. We have these things that we every once in a while do for very special people, and we're pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation, which is a very cool thing. We're going to give this to you. You can hang it on your wall.
Thank you so much.
When the pandemic started last year, Kavanaugh wanted to create care packages for senior citizens in his community. He spent his own savings and filled those care packages with groceries and toiletries. Later, Kavanaugh and his mom opened a food pantry, which is called Love is Greater Than COVID-19, through the generous donations from those who heard of what this young man from Maryland was doing. In Fort Washington, Maryland, Arlene Ocampo, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
Very inspiring story there. What inspired, though, Kavanaugh to do this?
Well, unfortunately, he was bullied at 5 years old. He felt really sad inside. He didn't want other kids to feel what he was feeling. So that's when he asked his mom for help. He asked his mom, how could he spread positivity and love? And so that's when he started helping his community. And since he's been doing that, he just wanted to keep going because it actually makes him feel good inside. Thomas?
And these care packages that they're putting together, does he provide those just locally?
Good question, Thomas. Actually, Kavanaugh has gathered food supplies and even critical COVID supplies to families actually across the country. So even to one of the poorest communities in America, an Indian reservation in South Dakota. Thomas?
Truly a very, very inspiring young man. And you look forward to 20 years from now, if he keeps this philosophy, if he keeps this attitude that he's got, what a leader he could become. Very definitely inspiring. Thank you for joining us, Arlene, and stay safe. Up next, we have stories from Sicklerville, New Jersey, San Antonio, and Frisco, both in Texas. This is Eagle News America.
It's time to take one step further and face the impossible. Time to search the unknown and fight for the truth. Time to overcome boundaries and connect the world. It's time for DW News.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Like this. The state of New Jersey reporting more than 1,000 new COVID cases, 15 COVID-related deaths. Mayanne Manzano-Gerzon is standing by in Sicklerville, New Jersey to tell us more. Good evening, Mayanne.
Good evening, Tom, and thank you. Yes, in a report from NJ.com, New Jersey on Sunday reported another 1,798 confirmed cases of the coronavirus and 15 additional deaths as the number of New Jersey residents who have received at least one dose of the vaccine approaches 1 million. But Governor Phil Murphy warned in a tweet that numbers reported on Sunday might change due to an electronic lab reporting issue that may be affecting today's numbers. The number of coronavirus patients in New Jersey's hospitals fell for the 10th straight day, dropping to 2,449 on Saturday night. That's down 35% from a recent peak of 3,802 on December 23. The statewide rate of transmission was 0.86, up from 0.84 the day before. The rate increased both weekend days after falling steadily during the first 11 days of February. When the rate falls below 1, it indicates the state's outbreak is slowing. The statewide positivity rate for the test conducted on Wednesday, the most recent day available, was 7.24% based on 48,018 tests. Governor Phil Murphy announced the update on social media as he continues to quarantine after an undisclosed member of his family tested positive Wednesday for the virus. Murphy, however, said he tested negative on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the governor announced Friday that a limited number of parents in New Jersey will be allowed to watch their children play indoor high school and youth sports again after months of being banned from the stands. The new rules limit attendees to up to 2 parents or guardians per athlete for indoor games and matches. But the total spectators may not exceed 35% of the room's capacity or 150 people total. Officials also announced Friday that New Jersey has recorded 5 new cases of the highly contagious coronavirus variant, first discovered in the United Kingdom, bringing the state's total to 38. Sadly, we are also, and for a quick weather update, Thomas, it's currently 9:11 in the evening here in New Jersey, and it's currently cloudy. It is 37 degrees Fahrenheit, or 3 degrees Celsius. In Sicklerville, New Jersey, May and Manzano Garzon, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
And you're also in a virtual heat wave there. But I want to ask you, how many vaccine doses have been administered in your state so far? And how many of those are the first of the 2 doses?
Well, Tom, New Jersey there have been 1,341,185 vaccine doses administered in New Jersey as of Sunday. And of those, 984,737 were the first of the 2 doses, while 355,862 were the second doses. Thomas?
And how many doses were given to the state by the federal government?
Thomas, New Jersey has received 1.77 billion doses from the federal government, according to a running tally by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Thomas?
I've got to ask you, are you any closer to getting the vaccine yourself, or have you got a long way?
I wish I could have an update from the government, but all this winter storm and ice storm, I think it's being moved further. But hopefully, Tom, we all get it by summer, so that's everyone is hoping.
Hopefully soon, yeah. You've got those twin problems of the shortage of vaccine and, of course, the storms closing up the vaccine clinics because people can't get there. Thanks for joining us, and take care, Mayanne.
Thank you, Tom. You too.
We go to Texas now, where a rare Arctic cold front has left the state buried in snow and enduring frigid temperatures. For President's Day, it was a subdued celebration. The weather has left millions of people without electricity, travel not being advised. We have 2 reports on this major storm. We begin with Eagle News correspondent Jane Kathleen Gregorio in San Antonio, and she will update us on the power outages.
Thank you, and howdy from the Lone Star State. Today is winter in Texas, a late winter this mid-February, and while snow is definitely fun, especially when you rarely get it here in the South, it's not as enjoyable when rolling blackouts and power outages are happening all across the state, leaving millions without electricity. So right now I'm in my car because that's the only place I can charge my phone and we're covered with snow and just hoping that the power will eventually come back on. I heard from ERCOT, which is the electric Regional Council of Texas. I'm not sure if that's the exact actual acronym, but what I heard is that the rolling blackouts could continue until Tuesday. And so definitely it's going to be happening all day Monday. So trying to grab whatever electricity we can, whether it's from our vehicle, is important. And meanwhile, in terms of cooking and food, for me and my family, we're eating basically whatever doesn't have to be cooked, like raw vegetables, fruits, packaged items, things that, might expire because they can't stay in the fridge long. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. And just bundling up with a lot of sweaters and layers to stay really warm.
According to the Electrical Reliability Council of Texas, also known as ERCOT, which manages the flow of electric power to 26 million customers and represents 90% of the state's electric load, a new winter peak demand record was set on Sunday evening, reaching 69,150 megawatts between 6 and 7 p.m., which is over 3,200 megawatts higher than the previous winter peak set back in January 2018. Around 1:25 a.m. Monday morning, ERCOT declared an EEA3, urging customers to reduce electric use with rotating outages implemented to protect the system, as the severe winter weather forced generating units offline. ERCOT President and CEO Bill Magnus said in a press release Monday, "Every grid operator and every electric company is fighting to restore power right now." Texas Governor Greg Abbott gathered information throughout the day from ERCOT and the Public Utilities Commission and provided updates daily on Twitter, stating, "Many power generation companies' facilities froze overnight and shut down their ability to generate power. They are working to get power back online." He later added, "The Texas power grid has not been compromised. The ability of some companies that generate the power has been frozen. This includes the natural gas and coal generators. They are working to get generation back online. ERCOT and PUC are prioritizing residential customers." At around 3 p.m., the governor reported, "Good news. Results are on the way. About 200,000 residential customers are coming back online now. More are expected in the coming hours." As extreme winter weather conditions continue to impact the Lone Star State, Governor Abbott reminds Texans to stay off the roads, conserve energy, keep generators and grills outside, and avoid heating homes with ovens or stovetops. Stay tuned to Eagle News for more updates.
Meanwhile, I hope you're staying warm in your part of the country. In San Antonio, Texas, I'm Jane Kathleen Gregorio. Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you in the studios.
Frisco, Texas, where Nanita Manawas tells us there was not a lot of activity outside this President's Day.
Today is a cold and snowy President's Day here in Texas. And today we are here in one of the neighborhoods in Frisco, Texas, one of the key cities in North Texas. On a typical day, parks and playgrounds are occupied by kids and families having fun together. But as you can see from here, the parks are empty and covered with snow. Roads are also quiet as most Texans prefer to stay home and keep safe. However, one of the challenges that Texans are experiencing due to the severe winter weather is the intermittent power outages and poor internet connection. Governor Abbott on Sunday has announced that the White House has issued a federal emergency declaration for Texas. This is due to the severe winter weather that is being experienced throughout the state. The Texas Department of Safety has also issued similar posts on their Twitter account requesting Texans to stay away from recreational activities on roadways, bridges, and overpasses, and for Texans to stay home and refrain from traveling. Governor Abbott has also requested Texans to not just stay home but also conserve energy. Reporting from Frisco, Texas, this is Nita Manawis, Eagle News. Live in interesting times.
Well, up next, our virtual roundtable discussion. You get two for the price of one tonight. We'll begin by talking about in-person learning experiences. Then we're going to steer our discussion toward President's Day. No politics, though. Just who do you admire most as a president, either sitting or former? So stay tuned for that. You're watching Eagle News America.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Agila Pilipinas, a one-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Agila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Agila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Agila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explain our health outdoor track.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
This is Eagle News America. I'm Thomas. I like this. And what time is it? It's time to gather around the virtual roundtable now. And we're going to talk about two topics this evening. The first, we'll be talking about in-person learning. And this is very timely. And then we're going to move on to who is the president you most admire and why. But let's deal with our first one. Like I said, it's very, very timely. You know, as more and more people receive the COVID-19 jab, infection rates in several states are trending downward. And you know, socialization is such an integral element in teaching students. The schools across the country are finally reopening their doors to in-person learning after a year of virtual instruction. Can you imagine that? A year without the classroom, or an in-person classroom at least. I know they tried it virtually, but there's a lot of pitfalls there, and it's so new. Schools really didn't have time to refine it. It got refined as we went on. So I want to find out from our correspondents joining us this evening what life lessons they've learned in school with other students that were around them, and how they benefit from it even to this day. We'll begin with you in New Jersey, Mayanne. Tell us about your school days.
Well, Tom, like what you said, it's the socialization part of being in a school, you know, in-person learning. And Tom, to be honest, it's the small things. I don't know about you, but it's the mere act of walking or commuting to school. It's the walking with your classmates or commuting with your friends. It's the adrenaline of raising your hand in the classroom for every recitation. It's the walking to the board to solve a mathematical problem or whatnot. It's the planting of vegetables in the schoolyard with your classmates as part of my home economics class. Those are the small things, Tom, that did not only teach me academically, but most importantly, life lessons and great memories with my classmates and friends that I feel bad that the generation or the students during the year of pandemic, or actually until now, are not experiencing. Thomas?
Yeah, they lost a lot in this last year because it's just not the same. It's not the same when you're trying to learn virtually. Arlene, your thoughts on this?
Thank you, Thomas. Actually, I'll piggyback on what Mayanne has said. Pretty much everything she said is what I feel as well. I do feel bad for the kids that are online now, because even just being around people is definitely a plus. And just having your friends to be there for you to give you that little bit of lift. And even in studying, studying together, just the whole being of just being around people. That's my take on it. Thomas?
What about you, Eliza?
I agree with the ladies. I have twin daughters, and both of them are in their senior year in high school. And every time we have breakfast together recently, I can't help but comment and tell them that I can't believe they're spending their last year of high school online with their mom all day. So that's definitely one of the things that I know they are missing. How fun it is, especially on your in your last year in high school. But for me personally, one thing I learned when I was attending school is being able to read nonverbal communication. In speech class, they taught us this. One way to get your message across, aside from spoken or written word, is, of course, nonverbal communication. And being able to see that in person and being able to read people because you see them, they're in front of you. And even by the way they look, or the way they move toward this way, or they react to something you say, that I think is one of the things that I would miss if I would have to, if let's say I'm still studying this time, and then I would have to study virtually. I would miss being able to read people and their nonverbal communication.
I think that's very important for young people, and any one of you who wants to jump in while I'm talking here, feel free to do so. But very, very important amongst young people. Basically, you're teaching people how to behave around others, and you can't learn that in a virtual setting. I don't think. Your thoughts?
That's true. I observe my girls when they're in class virtually, and I would always ask them, how come your cameras are off? How are your teachers able to see how you're responding to the class? And then they said for some privacy thing, they are not required to turn on their cameras. But I feel bad also for the teachers having to teach and not seeing your students. You just see their names on the screen. It's so different. It's hard. It's hard.
We bring into the aspect of teachers. I mean, to teach in a class, you can see the response of your students, and actually that will energize you. But when you're talking, and I occasionally have to be involved in a virtual meeting, is very difficult, very, very difficult to get that same energy that you do when there's a live group around you. The other thing I think that kids learn in the classroom is something called respect. You learn to respect the hierarchy within the school, the teacher, the principal, others around that you have to deal with. You learn to interact with adults aside from your parents, and those are things you can't do in isolation. Arlene, you look like you have some thoughts on that.
Actually, I was just thinking about what Eliza was saying about her twins, because same thing with my youngest son. When I was home one day, he was just online. I was, observing him as well. And I noticed his camera was off, and same thing, it's the privacy issue. But I do feel bad for the teachers, because it's like, just imagine if you're teaching to a class and everybody's grid, their camera is off. I would feel like I'm talking to myself, to be honest with you. So, kudos to the teachers as well. And I know with the kids, it's hard as well. But sorry, Thomas, what was your question? I just went off track.
I think you've basically contributed to that aspect of the discussion. One other thing that I think we should touch on that's it's not part of the school curriculum, but it's part of the school experience, and that's all of these extracurricular activities that are over and above what you learn in the classroom. And those are very, very important too. And those all kind of went out the window.
That's true. My daughters are both volleyball varsity players, and they would log on every day after class for volleyball practice virtually. So I'm like, how are you able to practice volleyball online? And they said, they just, their coach, she gives them, I think, exercises or routines that they could follow just for, just to make sure they keep active at home. But the actual sport playing, I think that's gone for now, at least for the varsity players.
But there were other things, I don't know today what some of the clubs were. I know when I was in high school, photography was a big thing for me. We had a dark room, and that was something learning how to process what we used to call back in those days film.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that when I first got my cell phone, you didn't need to buy film for it to take pictures. But things like that. There were other activities aside from sports that kids got involved with. The library was another thing that tended to be off limits. I know in Edmonton up here, libraries were completely shut down. And of course, you can go online, but there's still something to be said for holding that book in your hand while you're reading it. So why don't we go to something completely different now? It is a holiday today in the United States, President's Day. This began back in the 1880s when they first wanted to celebrate the birth of the first president, George Washington. And eventually by 1968, they kind of melded it together, called it President's Day, instead of Lincoln's birthday and Washington's birthday and so on. So it's kind of there to honor all presidents. And I want to ask the three of you, and I'm going to weigh in on this too, because even though I'm not an American, I did live in the United States for a number of years. Who is the president you most admire? Let's begin with you, Arlene.
I would have to say Barack Obama. He was definitely a people person, and I like the fact that he focused and was concerned about healthcare for everybody, and he was really big on education. But I just remember him being a great people person as a whole.
Left quite a legacy, I think.
Yes.
Mayanne, in your opinion, who is the most admired?
Well, Thomas, I don't think I'm in the position to choose a president or a U.S. president I most admire, because I've only been here in the States for less than 3 years. But you know what? I like Michelle Obama. Like what Arlene said, that Barack Obama is a people person. I would describe Michelle also as a commoner. She's very sensible, very smart, very kind, but very like ordinary when it comes to like handling other things despite her status. And I more so like her after reading her book, which is actually over here, Becoming of Michelle Obama. So it's everything, like her experiences living in the White House, and it's just very inspiring that she didn't really like get the status in her head, but she was very a people person, like what Arlene said with Barack. Tom?
Eliza, you're right in the center of presidential residences there, the White House in Washington, D.C. Who would be the most admired occupant in your opinion?
Okay, Thomas, I wasn't born here, but I have been here for almost 18 years now, if I'm not mistaken, and have had 4 presidents in those 18 years. When I got here, it was George W. Bush, and then Barack Obama, and then Donald Trump, and now Joe Biden. But for me, being president requires great people skills, like what Arlene said. And these skills include, of course, civility. And when we say civility, it's politeness, not just in speech, but more importantly in behavior. And given that, my most admired among the 4 is like who Arlene admires most too. It's President Barack Obama. Simply because he's polite. He's civil, very civil, and that he also pressed for Fair Pay Act for women during his time, and I think he was the 4th president to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. So I admire him for his accomplishments.
Well, I'm briefly going to wrap it up here. The most admired for me would be Ronald Reagan. I lived down in the United States in the early 70s. It was a troubled time. Actually, I was working the night Richard Nixon resigned. After Nixon, it was Jerry Ford, Jimmy Carter, and then Ronald Reagan. He was elected as the country was trying to find itself. One of his nicknames, the Great Communicator. That guy could take a script and make it sound like he was talking personally to you. He was what the country needed at that time. He wasn't perfect, but he came at a time following Vietnam, following Nixon, following a period of economic stagflation under Carter. At that time, the mood was pretty dark. People were lacking hope. Reagan brought his optimism and brought his people skills to the office. He was a feel-good president. Let's face it, a feel-good president, but he came at a time when the country needed it. Well, we've talked about the presidents we admire, but I'll tell you, there's a group of people I admire even more, and that's, of course, all of the folks out there on the front lines. So let's take time now to salute them. I'm talking about our healthcare workers, first responders, essential workers of all types, and there's hundreds of thousands of them. Let's salute them now with a round of applause. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you too for joining us. That's tonight's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Thomas I. Likeness, and truly, we live in interesting times.